Alright, another thing, I was just listening to some coverage of Trump's meeting with the Republicans and the Democrats in regard to the DACA illegals, comprehensive immigration reform, and building a motherfucking wall. And I have a few things to say about that. Firstly, the DACA illegals are illegals. They're illegal immigrants. The goddamn Democrats and the media try to frame it as though they're a bunch of all poor children that just didn't have anything to do with it. The average age of a DACA recipient is, what is it? I think it's 29 fucking years old? Does 29 sound like a fucking child to you? Likewise, in the same regard, they try to blame it as, oh, these people never did anything wrong, it was their parents. Well, motherfucker, if my parents were to go, say, rob a bank and then buy me a fucking bike with it, do you think they'd let me keep the fucking bike? Huh? Oh, of course they wouldn't. They'd fucking confiscate it because it was obtained through ill-gotten means. Likewise, in the same regard, if there's a bunch of fucking illegals here, there's a bunch of illegals here whose parents brought them over, why should they get the reap the benefits of ill-gotten gains? Why the fuck should they stay here when their parents were the ones that broke the law, right? There shouldn't be. And secondly, here's the big thing. The reason why they're making up all this stuff about him and trying to turn it into a humanitarian effort when really it's just a bunch of illegal aliens that they're trying to fucking kowtow to. It's because the Democrats' plan is to give DACA amnesty, to give the DACA illegals amnesty, which there's about 800,000 of them. And 400,000 or so live in Texas. But then after that, I mean, it doesn't matter if Trump is in office or not, eventually a Democrat will be elected again. And that Democrat will give the DACA illegals the amnesty they want, and they will allow the chain migration. So that 400,000 in Texas would probably turn into 1.5 million, maybe 2 million. And the whole point of that is turning Texas blue. It's the same goddamn strategy they used in the 1986 amnesty to turn California blue. I mean, everybody now thinks of California as, you know, a leftist socialist fucking mess, a giant haven of retarded nonsense, and they're right, that's exactly what it is. But it didn't used to be that way. It used to be a strong, productive, useful fucking society. It used to be red state. It used to be where you hear lots of people try to talk up California by saying, yeah, it's the 7th largest economy in the world. Well, you know, before it turned blue, it was the 4th largest economy in the world. And now it's not really actually the largest economy at all, because there's so much goddamn debt in California. They've accrued so much debt that any profit that they could make as a collective entity would then just be going right towards that debt. So they're actually poorer than basically every other state in the union, because their debt is 3 or 4 times as large. They have less money than all the poorer states. The poorer states may not have enough money to pay for all this nonsense, but at least they're not just accruing massive amounts of debt in order to make it so that even if to actually be even, they'd have to pay back $2 trillion like the fucking Californians. But anyway, so that's the issue. They want to turn Texas blue because Texas is reliably red. If the Democrats get what they want, so they get DACA amnesty, and again, it doesn't matter what Trump does with it now, unless he kicks them out and says no more goddamn amnesty, period, no more chain migration, period, the left will get what they want there. Eventually, and if he doesn't get a wall, because if it's not being built by the time he leaves office, it won't be built, especially if another Democrat ever gets in, because the establishment Republicans don't want anything to do with it, and the Democrats specifically and seriously don't want anything to do with it, because that's what they think their border base is coming from. And they're right. If those 400,000 DACA illegals in Texas are turned, something like 200,000 would be likely to vote for Democrats. The other remaining 200,000 wouldn't be likely to vote, and maybe 50,000 for Republicans. And now, if they continue to bring in all these cucksuckers from fucking California that moving to Texas, in order to flee how shitty the California government is, how unfriendly to business they are, how unfriendly to taxpayers they are, how unfriendly to everything they are, except for illegal immigrants and fucking criminals, they're running to Texas in order to try to make some money and not pay a bunch of taxes and actually live in a place where the government gives one fuck about them. However, they're still Californians, they're still fucking morons, and you know for a goddamn fact they're gonna vote for fucking leftist politicians. So they're getting a huge influx. Something like 3 million Californians have moved to Texas in the last 10 years. 400,000 fucking illegal DACA recipients, which if they get amnesty and are allowed to vote, eventually will vote in Democrats, likewise, and vote for the same thing. If they get it, it will turn Texas blue. If Texas turns blue, America is fucked. The Democrats electorally, they'll be completely unstoppable. They're already pretty strong now, but they'll be utterly and completely unstoppable if they turn Texas blue. One of the things that will happen in that regard is they'll get whatever they want on their agenda. They'll turn everything into California, everything into New York, where they don't pay for anything that actually matters. They don't give a fuck about infrastructure. They don't give a fuck about their actual citizenry. They only care about trading free shit for votes. If Texas turns blue, that will be the entire country. And the entire country is already pretty fucked with our 20 trillion in national debt, but then if you aggregate the actual true debt of unfunded liabilities, it is near $200 trillion. There's no fucking way we'll even be able to pay back 20 trillion, but there's absolutely no fucking way we'll be able to pay back 200 trillion. But if the Democrats turn Texas blue with all this DACA bullshit by trying to frame it as a humanitarian thing rather than a political, which is exactly what it is, America's fucked. That won't be $200 trillion in unfunded liabilities aggregated with national debt in 10 years. It'll be $400 trillion because all those fuckers know how to do is spend. And they're not going to spend it on the American people. They're going to spend it on buying votes, giving away free shit to criminals. As such, DACA no goddamn DACA fucking recipient should be allowed to stay here. They're all fucking illegals. They're all fucking adults. Even though they say, oh, well, they all have to be high school graduates in order to qualify. High school graduates are the equivalent. And let's think about how fucking, what that actually means nowadays in that same regard. There's a school district in Washington, D.C. that was basically touting how great they are because they got 100% of their graduating class last year admitted into colleges. Now, what they don't fucking tell you is how fucking unprepared for college all of those kids are. Not a single graduate that they put in college, so they're 100% of college placements, can read past an 8th grade level. Most of them can't read, period. Not a single goddamn student could pass a test to say that they were competent on the math tests to even their regular district levels, which of course are fucking so low that they don't even matter. Likewise for these fucking illegal immigrants. You have all these places around the country where, due to the influence of leftists, due to the influence of the teachers' unions that basically just funnels money from the government back to the politicians that they're buying off once again for all the free votes, the standards have gone down so far that high school graduates are fucking dog shit nowadays. High school graduate, there's no goddamn guaranteed proof they can even read, that they can do math, that they know one goddamn thing about history. Yet this is the standard by which, oh, we have to make sure that all of the people, all those poor DACA, those great, wonderful humanitarian DACA recipients are capable of working and being educated. When the education is dog shit, and the working is also dog shit. So, the humanitarian argument is fucking nonsense anyway. It's a bunch of lies. It's literal lies in order to bolster what the Democrats know will be their only way the future goes, because people are starting to notice that they're not actually working for them. They're only exchanging free stuff to criminals for votes. In order to turn Texas blue and completely fuck up the United States of America forever. You thought the fucking Soviet Union collapsed when the same fucking thing happened there was bad? Just fucking wait till it's America, because there's a lot more to lose here than there was in the fucking Soviet Union. But that's exactly what's going to happen if any goddamn amnesty bill is put forward, if the fucking wall isn't built, and worst of all, if the goddamn chain migration isn't stopped. What we should do, like I hear Tucker Carlson frequently ask his guests, what would be the appropriate amount of immigrants coming in, legal immigrants coming in? And right now there's a little bit more than 1 million a year coming in, which is completely going to fuck us. What we need to drop that down to 50,000 tops, and that's only just to get the cream of the crop, the best of the best. So, the people that actually can come in and be productive members, so the genius Indians, the genius Chinese, the genius Hispanics, the genius Europeans, the genius Africans, if you're a goddamn genius, you can fucking demonstrate it and we actually have something for you to do, then you can come in. But that cap should be at 50,000, because with 1 million a year coming in for the last 20 years, the population has changed, just the character, the national character has changed in America drastically, and it's going to continue changing if we keep letting in these 1 million a year legal, and that doesn't even count the illegals, which there's not. We don't even know how many of them there are. So that's what we're running into. These motherfuckers lying about how this poor humanitarian to help these children, which are really just adult illegal aliens, in order to bolster their own voter rolls and turn America into a socialist hellhole. That's what we're dealing with. That's what has to be stopped. And I don't hear anybody saying it in those terms, and that fucking pisses me off too. So there you go. That's my fucking take on it.